Do you have an S-Corp? Have you ever wondered what's the possibilities of using an S-Corp? What's the benefits? What's not the benefits, right? Well, today we're going to dive into the S-Corporation, the small business tax, what S-Corps is, how to use them, why not to use them, right? So we're going to talk about that today. What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. I am one of your co-hosts, Dr. Blackwealth, and
it's your girl, Mrs. Fabfinancial. I'm still operating in my feminine energy.
And your feminine?
Yes.
Another week in feminine?
Another week in feminine energy.
Oh, my God. So we're going to talk about these S-Corps, y'all. I mean, personally, I think that S-Corps are a good thing. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that they are underutilized and overhyped at the same time.
Okay. Definitely overhyped. Let's get into it. Let's tell the people what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So S-Corp is considered a
legal entity.
It's a small business tax. You elect to be an S-Corp to be taxed to take a big corporation or a LLC to be taxed as a subchapter small corporate tax, right? So a C-Corp pays right now a flat tax of 21%. You got Trump to thank for that. Before
y'all missed my eye. Y'all missed my eye. Y'all say it again. Let's go.
Yep.
Now y'all got to get my.
See, look, you like the political arena now. I'm just telling you the players. So,
and why and what? No.
You got Trump to thank for the 21% C-Corp, right?
Okay.
However, the small business, the S corporation allow you to be like big business, but tax small business, right? So it still pass through. So to get an S Corp, you have to elect to do it. You cannot find it on nobody's Secretary of State. You have to take a LLC or C corporation and put in a form called a 2553 to elect to be an S corporation, right?
To be seen by the IRS
to
and
be seen,
tax you
right,
as a corporation.
As an S corporation.
Yep.
And there are certain qualifications you must have, which we'll discuss. We'll uncover all that too. But that's the basis of it, right? So people are like, I get the question all the time, how do I become an S corporation? Well, you have to apply, be elected, and they'll send you a letter in the mail that says, hey, your S corporation status have been approved as of such and such date. And so from that date moving forward, you are an S corporation until you decide to change it by doing an entity change.
Yeah.
Or it gets revoked, because that can happen too.
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was good.
That was a good.
Yeah,
right,
I think that was a good definition. You guys, everyone kind of got their gist of what it is before we go into it.
Y'all follow Dave. Well, Dave do taxes, so he kind of biased.
So it is not you can't find a Secretary of State. It's not a legal entity.
It's not a legal entity.
It is a tax structure.
Right. So you have to put in the form 2553. It's real simple to do. Maybe we'll do a separate video on that, but it's real simple to do. Or you can simply just ask your tax professional or preparer, or you can simply call the IRS. Right. You can. I'm a firm believer that you can really something like that you can do yourself. I do it. But I charge for it. So just know that.
Okay, so let's say I am a lawn care professional.
Okay.
Right?
So this is a scenario of S corporation making sense.
I'm a LLC,
okay,
and I'm thinking about possibly, I'm hearing it all on the internet. I'm like, oh, you should be an S-Corp. You should be an S-Corp. And I'm like, dang, maybe should I be an S-Corp?
Okay.
So I'm a lawn care professional.
For sure.
I have my own business.
For sure.
Right? And I see, because I've been doing my numbers and I've been listening to the Mind Your Biz podcast.
That's right.
So I've been doing my numbers. I know my numbers. I'm like, hey, I am increasing in revenue here.
Right.
Yeah, I see something happening. What is my next step? I'm hearing about this S-Corp thing. What should I do? Or how does that go? Or how does that benefit me? How do I then operate in my S-Corpness?
Okay, then. With the S-Corpness. All right, so in that scenario, good example, lawn care company, the first thing, if it were me as a strategist or wealth strategist, what I would ask is, what's profits, right? So I would
say, hey, as a lawn care professional, I profit about $15,000 a month.
$15,000 a month. All right, so $15,000 a month. we pulling in, what is that on an annual basis? Let's do some real math here.
Who got the calculator?
All right, so that's 180,000 in profit, right? So for sure, this person, this person might need to be C-Corp, not, but for sure you can be an S-Corp, right? So why do I focus on profit? Because one of the main requirements to be an S-Corp is you have to be on payroll. So do the business make enough money for us to pay myself as a W-2 employee?
And then how do I pay myself? Because you said, how do I come up with that number to pay myself?
For sure, I got you. I'm gonna go into all that. So right, one of the requirements is you got to be on W-2 to pay yourself, the owner of the S corporation, right? So typically, when I do S corporations, I don't like them to be owned by more than one person. I like it to be single member owned, or excuse me, one shareholder, right? This a language change when we go to S corp. One shareholder. And typically that's for more control, right? When you start having more than one person in there, it just becomes a little wonky. Plus, you can't have over 100 shareholders.
What about if I have minor children?
Well, if you got kids,
or my wife, or someone that I also want to put on payroll,
for sure. So if you have kids and all that stuff you want to put on payroll, you can put them on payroll. Payroll doesn't necessarily make them an owner. Now, if you want them to own it, I probably would do a different structure. I probably would make them own or put them in an LLC, but I own my own S corp type of scenario. Or I'll have the trust own it, the trust own the S corp, and then we'll be owners or trustees and all that stuff, beneficiaries in the trust. So there's ownership in there.
But I heard on this app that if I make my children a 10% owner, then they can get a K1 for 10% and help me pay less taxes, because the K1 might be less than the standard deduction.
Oh, great. I would just put the kids on payroll. So, and to do that is, I would set, the way you actually do that is the parents of the child have to directly pay them through a LLC. So I would set up an LLC for the purposes of hiring the kids and let them have a job, right? An actual job. Either the stamp licker, the admin, the janitor, whatever that looks like, you pay them. So the way the law works is you don't have to pay into the Social Security and all the Medicare tax and all that stuff when you directly paying your own child. So you avoid that. And so if you pay them under the standard deduction, they don't have to file taxes at all, because it's under right now, what's the standard deduction? 13 grand. And so it flips to where they don't have to pay and they get paid. Plus you get the deduction of the $13,000, which might not seem like a lot, but it's a lot when it's coming down to how much money we owe in taxes. Because if you owe 13 grand and I can pay my child 13 grand, I would rather pay my child than give the government money. Sure. Right? Especially in my scenario, because I'm like, well, I don't want to pay no taxes.
Okay, so let me recap what I have to do. So I need to put myself on payroll first, because I'm making well over six figures. Yeah. I'm going to pay myself. Well, how do I determine how much I get paid? Like, what do I pay?
For sure. So only thing the IRS says is a reasonable compensation. So, but what does that mean, right? So typically what you need to do is have a job title, right? And it probably need not be a CEO just yet.
So like a manager?
Right. So like a manager, team manager, or look at whatever it is that you spend your time doing, right? Whether that's admin, whether that's sales, whether that's whatever. And then I would kind of like look up, I'm going to see if we could post it in the episode, but I do have like a payroll matrix that we kind of created.
So I could Google average salary
of whatever
manager,
specific,
so and so, and
right.
I would say, okay, so I'm gonna pay myself about $50,000 a year, and put myself in payroll and operate out of that space.
For sure.
Okay.
I also, with the payroll, probably, like, depending on how much money we make, I probably wouldn't W-2 myself for no more than $100 grand. Mm-hmm. Right? Anything above that, I wouldn't do it. No matter how much money you make, if you can afford to pay yourself on W-2 $100 grand, I probably wouldn't go over that. And that's just a tax strategy situation, because we probably going from S-Corp to C-Corp in that arena. And then one of the reasons that you're putting yourself on payroll is to pay less taxes, right? So when we are LLC, let's say we made that 180 grand, you paying at least 15.3% tax on that, which is the Social Security, all that stuff, plus ordinary income tax. So that's going to automatically put you in like a
37,
40, like a 40, 50% tax bracket. So half of my 180,000 is going to taxes.
Yeah.
So I saved that by going S-Corp because now I have to pay payroll taxes. However, you get the right payroll taxes off. Mm-hmm. It's a deduction. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. And two, the taxes drop as far as my burden on taxes.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's
and it truly separates you and the business, right? If you have that W-2 and you want to acquire personal assets, you paying yourself $100,000 is a benefit for sure. So, all right.
Definitely. So S-Corps help you separate yourself from the business. So it's like I'm employed at Eagle Financial Group, but I don't own it. Depending on who you're talking to, that's how you can position yourself.
No, for sure. Okay, I think I got it as a lawn care specialist with my company. Okay, so then, Rick, so I set up my W-2. I Googled the salary. Right, I'm gonna pay myself a reasonable salary. Let's say $50,000 a year to completely separate myself from the business and save on taxes. Right, I may add my children in that depending on my family situation. And so then. How then am I paying my taxes? Because I heard some people talk about quarterly taxes. Like, is that a thing I should be doing as well, or what?
So for payroll taxes and payroll itself, I always recommend you use a payroll company. I don't recommend that you sit there and Flintstone it with the with the manual situation.
Please don't.
Right? Don't be out here like Fred and Barney and trying to calculate the stuff yourself. Right? Like. Just it's gonna cost you way less money and less of a headache if you just get a payroll company. Payroll companies could be QuickBooks, it could be Paycor, it could be ADP, it could be Gusto, it could be whatever, right? It could be like our company offer payroll services. We use those platforms to do it, but we do it, right? So just get a payroll company. So what happens is every paycheck you're going to be taking taxes out of your own paycheck, right? So taxes work like the company and the employee go half and half. And to be honest with you, it's really, as a business owner, it's your choice, right? I didn't know this until we started actually doing payroll, but it's kind of like your choice. Like, so as a company, I can say, no, I want to pay 80% of my employees' taxes, and I can do that. Right? Or I can be like, no, this thing split right down the middle. I'm going to pay 50, you paying 50, right? Right? So a business owner could choose to do that. However, they're typically 50-50. So you paying your taxes, and I still got to pay the portion of it. And every quarter, we send payroll taxes to the payroll department of the IRS. And so we're paying those taxes on a quarterly basis. And reporting on it annually.
Now, so I get it. Okay, so I have to pay my taxes quarterly, and it's also a benefit for me to pay them quarterly, payroll taxes. And are we doing the estimated taxes as well for my income, or just the payroll?
So you can. I don't recommend. All right, let me say it like this: the estimated taxes, I think, is a by person scenario, meaning. If you're a person who is good with managing your money, I recommend that you don't do estimated taxes because we can look at strategies that might help you reduce that. But at least you have the money there in case we do have to pay taxes, right? But if you know, like, hey, no, it's probably better. Let me just not even see this money. Let me just get it out my situation.
I mean, I'm generating $15,000 a month.
Right.
I got
if that's you're that type of person, then pay the estimated tax, right? So on certain stuff like that, I'm not like you should do this. I have conversations to figure out what type of person the business owner is and their goals, and so we can do it that way. But you definitely can pay estimated taxes with an S-Corp. You can pay your payroll taxes. You can pay estimated federal taxes with the S-Corp, all of the above. Okay,
so I think I got most of it. Is there a difference in the timing in my taxes? Like, when do I need to file my S-Corp?
Oh, for sure. So these are really good questions. I feel like you're a client. So
I'm putting my client hat on. I'm putting my client hat on.
Because I'll be all over the place, y'all. So payroll taxes, S-Corp taxes are due March 15th. So March 15th, all partnerships and S-Corp taxes are due, right? March 15th. Why is that? Because the corporation have to pay taxes and report its taxes before you as an individual report your taxes. Because part of that, you being it or the person, right? W-2 is like the company's reporting that, hey, I paid 50 grand on W-2 to such the ABC, X, Y, and Z, plus the company, the S-Corp got to issue you a form that allows you to report the profits of the S-Corp, which is called a K-1. And so you pay that beforehand.
Okay. All right. Got our time lock. Moving right along.
So I do like so let's talk about the management perspective of an S-Corp, right?
Yeah.
So here's why I suggest that LLC owners should always have company meetings. One reason why is just from a business development standpoint, you should always try to figure out what are you trying to do your upcoming year, your quarter, however you want to break that down, month, quarter, year. You should always try to figure out what you're trying to do. The second thing is you guys got a plan, and when you do the 2553, there is a question on the form that asks you, when did you decide to, or when was the shares contributed to the S-Corp, right? Well, in order for you to properly answer that question, you had to have discussed that to figure out and say, you know, let's say me, you and Dave, we like, hey, we got a business or whatever the case, or I got my business, but Dave is a good businessman in the community. I want to use him as like one of my advisors. You, my tax person, I want to use you as my advisor. Once a year we get together and y'all looking at my stuff, you might be like, hey man, you might benefit you to go S-Corp.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we had a conversation around the idea because it helps with tax savings, and plus it might just be better for a business structuring, right? So don't do it just for taxes, but it's a benefit. And so there's a question that says, hey, when did I transfer shares? So I want to make sure I say, hey, man, on, January 31st, we had a conversation and decided to transfer shares or issue us some shares and go S-Corp. And then I want to make this effective as of either January 1, 2024, or do I want to go back and make it effective as of, June, July of last year or something like that. And so, it's good on that arena. So, management of it. You want to have, and you got to have annual meetings, shareholders. So like one of the things, one of the famous people like Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett shareholders meeting happen every, I want to say first full weekend in May, and it's publicly displayed. You can watch it on CNBC. They broadcast it, at least the big meetings he have where he talks about, hey, Berkshire Hathaway, we got about $100 billion in tax or cash. We got about, we bought shares here. I like what Apple's doing. We hear Charlie talk about, I don't like Elon Musk, right? That's a shareholder.
I don't like him either, Charlie.
Right. So you can have those too, right? And it becomes a tax benefit because what if you say, hey, I want to take my shareholders, we might have our meeting in, Cancun or Dubai or whatever that looks like. Yeah. So that's a travel. But you got to have meetings and it got to be reported, right? So here's the thing that people, at least as far as I've seen, I don't know about you, we become really good at generating income. And we become really good at listening to our tax advisor. So if I come to Dave's like, hey, you do this, that, and the third. This is what you should do. We have really poor business management skills. We don't know how to run a business. And I'm not even talking about from a CEO perspective right now. I'm just talking about, I guess, just from an owner perspective. For sure. Right? We don't know how to run a business.
The habits.
We don't know how to have business meetings. Yeah. We don't know how to take minutes. We don't know that we need to take minutes. Yeah. We don't know how to conduct ourselves in business setups, right? So that's one of the reasons why.
And so if we take a pause there, why don't we think we do that, right?
I just think we just don't know.
My scenario, the lawn care owner who grosses $15,000 a month goes, why don't you have the time or the people in place to then really take care of your business?
And that's like a business development thing. One, I think it's just ignorance, right? Not calling nobody dumb. I just think we just don't know, right? And I look at it from my perspective. Had I not joined a fraternity and actually was the president of the fraternity, I probably wouldn't have known how to run meetings, right? Because it's not a everyday thing.
Well,
So
it's
if
not
you're
just the
involved in,
meetings,
like,
right? So the business owner is not just running the meetings,
right?
right? The meetings is an intricate part, but it's
You're talking about
also
just running the
developing a
business.
team,
I
right?
got
And
you.
developing the business. So you're running that rat race, and you can't take the time to pause and go, "Hey, let me have meetings for my business. Let me figure out what's happening," because you're still trying to run as a solopreneur.
And a lot of that is we just don't think big enough.
You need to fill out your administrative team,
Yeah,
your executive team,
and that comes from not thinking big enough, in my opinion, right? So this year, 2024, I'm telling even my advisory clients down to myself, right? The goal is scale. Like that's everybody I'm meeting with, all my clients I'm meeting with. That's the only conversation we have, scaling. Like, what are you doing to scale?
No, for sure. And so instead of paying yourself $100,000,
drop that down.
You might take it to 50 and then reinvest into someone in your executive administrative team.
And that's why I say a lot of that just be ignorance. A lot of that be a little bit of scarcity, right? If I know I can generate $80,000 a month, I'm profiting $15,000. Like I'm real comfortable there. So it could be you just don't want to grow past that point. That's a factor. Like that's a choice you can make.
Sure.
I just believe that if you're going to do something, why not just take it all the way? And if we're going to go all the way, why not that be the top? So, so if we're going to scale to the top, then I'm going to want to be able to run a business where the business could run without me being there. And that's putting on that CEO hat, right?
Yeah.
That's going from the lawn care worker to the team lead to the manager to now the leader. You start developing leaders. That's that orders of operations when we look at it, right? And then there's a flip side to that as far as what I was talking about originally was just running business meetings.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't know how to conduct those business meetings, but those same business meetings that I'm talking about conducting, it helps you as a leader run if I sit down with the production team, I'm like, hey guys, here's the agenda. Here's what we come in here to talk about. And here's how we're going to do it. There's rules to be established. So that's where I look at it like, you being involved in like your church or fraternity, sorority, any type of nonprofit organization like that, they typically know how in one shape, form, or fashion run meetings. So if you pay attention to that. But a lot of that you can read off this book called Robert Rules of Order. You can get it right off Amazon. I read the book front and back, being, one of the presidents of that stuff, but we just don't know. And we don't want to develop. And I think it's a lot of us we don't think big enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're just not thinking big enough. We think survival. We think, I'm making good money. I got things taken care of. Lifestyle is
we
good.
Kind of stop there.
And we kind of stop there. Right. But then we seeing people like, Ryan, the CEO or co-founder of the Gathering Spot, putting out statistics like 97% of businesses are like a one-man show.
Yeah.
Right? If I go to a HBCU or what they call them, PWI, I'm still going to be trying to find a job at a PWI institution, right? Because most black people don't think scale. They think, I don't even know what you're thinking, but we ain't thinking scale.
Well,
that's the problem.
It's that thing, right? That change in mindset when I was putting my hat on as the scenario here is I'm making a certain amount of money, but I want to pay myself $160,000, right? And so instead of saying, well, is it more beneficial if I drop my 150 down to 50 or 75 and bring in other people that'll give me more time freedom, that'll help me navigate and run my business, then I can generate possibly more income for myself. So I think is us, like you said, learning business and seeing what that next level is. So if I'm, just to recap, hey, I'm a business owner. I'm making a certain amount of money every month. I want to switch to an S-Corp. Okay, I got it. I need to be generating a certain amount of money a month or annually to make it beneficial to me so I could take the flat tax rate, right? But I also need to then put myself on payroll as required. I'm on payroll. I have to have a reasonable salary, right? Which I can Google or find on that regard. I also need to have meetings. I also need to be intuitive and purposeful about what my business is doing so I can keep track of that.
Nice strategy.
And that'll help me figure out how to scale and take my business to the next level because I got some time to think about what's happening in my business.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
I said all of that in my feminine voice. Did you hear that? I took some aggression out. I took some.
Y'all killing me.
So y'all let me know if y'all received it better or not.
It probably fell on softer ears. So the other part about it too is, LLCs are highly audited, right? So you put that Schedule C on your, and so I guess that's a really good point to bring up, right? If you got a LLC, typically you're doing taxes with your personal taxes. They're not separate in a sense, and they're highly audited. When you switch to an S-Corp, your chances of auditing significantly reduce. I'm not saying you won't get audited, but I am saying it's a long shot, right?
Yeah.
And it allows you just to have that little separation, right?
Yeah.
So the flip side to it is, I think it's overly. What did I say earlier? It's overly.
It's a hype. It's like a
it's
buzzword
hype.
because people we know are not ready for the S-Corp, because we just talked about the transition, the change, the things that you need to do when growing and becoming, going into that S-Corp. And I find most businesses are not ready. They immediately think about, oh, it's a tax cut. Either you're not even eligible for the tax cut because you're not generating money to even appreciate the tax cut,
that's
right?
Let's just pause. Let's just put a pin there, right? So everything I said,
and I said it in my feminine voice. Normally, you don't qualify because you're not generating enough money.
No money. Let's just plain and simple, right? So everything I said to even switch to an S-Corp requires us to, the first thing I said was what? How much profit you
need to generate money.
You got to make some money, right? So a lot of people, they overhyping it. And so I'm seeing a lot of people like, oh, I got the S-Corp. I'm like, well, what you got an S-Corp? Well, such and such said to get the S-Corp owned by the trust.
And I can pay taxes. I can pay less taxes.
And we so focused on the structure and the setup that we just forget to generate income.
Make money.
Generate income, right? So from that arena, I'm like, it's overly hyped. Then it's like, hey, I'm cool with the best of them. For sure, it's a tax saving.
And then, right, we don't generate enough money, nor do we have the management discipline to operate in that, right? Because we don't have enough money, then we can't do what? Get payroll. Yeah. So it's all based upon.
And I get it. I have a client right now. It's a huge mindset shift to switch from like, you making $500,000 a year from said business, and we still wanting to qualify for a refund. So to do that, meaning that we would have to write off $500,000 so that your income qualifies for low income to get a refund because you have children, right?
That's really.
And then it's like, hey, well, I need to qualify for certain programs and I need to pay myself. Well, then I'm like, well, in order for you to pay yourself, we need to switch this to an S-Corp so you can get a W-2, because you can't do it as an LLC. No. You can't 1099 yourself. You can't W-2 yourself as an LLC. You can only do what's called owner's draw, meaning that I transfer money from business bank account to personal account, right? So to do the stuff that you're looking to do, you got to be set up properly.
But I think that goes into the selfishness sometimes of people. They want more than they put out. You want to be able to eat your cake and have it too. And I said that in my feminine voice, so that you can receive me well, right? So you can receive.
Y'all.
So you cannot say I make $500,000.
Y'all better chill. Somebody better chill.
That you want to write off $500,000
to get a refund.
Now, what kind of sick backwards mindset?
But that's
is
what
that?
I'm saying,
right? Like, so I can get the tax refund for being low income.
Yeah.
What now?
If I was a tax preparer who just with the smoke, I'd be like, yeah, we could. Blah, blah, blah,
you
blah, blah,
ignoramus. I'm mad because you want to write off $500,000 instead of saying, well, let me try to invest in real estate, invest in something else that can help me grow my wealth. I'm going to be so focused on getting a tax refund.
Yeah. So the first time I give you the benefit of the doubt, I look at it from we just don't know, right? We're used to what we're used to. I'm used to getting refunds.
I'm coming back in my masculine voice. You give people the benefit of the doubt. These people trifling. They trifling and they selfish, and you want something from the government that you don't contribute. You self-employed. Why you think you need a tax refund? We just talked about how you get the refund.
I don't disagree
You
with
as
you.
business owner, you pay nothing all year, but then you want a refund at the end of the year. That's trifling and selfish.
I guess to slightly defend that, a lot of us become used to like what we're used to. I mean, if you used to go into the store every day and the man...
No, because you used to being poor and broke driving a Honda, but you find yourself in a Mercedes-Benz.
And I think this person has one, too.
I know they do. So I can't say what you used to because you know how to get out of what you used to do if it's not what you like to do.
But, a lot of them, it's people have love-hate relationships.
You used to eat ramen noodles, but you no longer. You
steak and lobsters, y'all. But so look, a lot of people like, look, the government took from me.
Don't try to justify that ignorance. He's trying to justify it, Dave. He's trying to justify the ignorant mindset.
They said the government took. The government
took nothing. You the
took
taker.
From me.
You the taker.
Now I gotta take from them. They owe me.
How?
Reparations.
You self-employed all year. You self-employed.
They
all
owe
year.
me my reparations. So I ain't gonna report all this. I want the refund because I got 4 kids. Give me my money. Reparations.
No.
And I'm going to make $500,000 on the side.
Repair your mindset. Reparations is short for repair. Repair your mindset that you're not going to get a refund if you made a $500,000 and you want to write $500,000 off. And not with like depreciate. You want to hard expense it down so you can get a tax refund. First of all, sir, you and me going to get locked up. I don't believe you have $500,000 worth of expenses. I don't believe it.
All right, look, let me put this out there right now, right? For all you looky-loos, especially the IRS, we do not condone this type of
tomfoolery.
This type of activity, but these are scenarios that's happening in our community, right? I mean, so my approach be to try my best to educate with a little forced hand. I'm like, no, all right, you can't do this, right? So if you want to do this, we got to actually do, go S-Corp, get on W-2, right? Which is one of the benefits of it. It's a really good entity. I just think it's overhyped, like I said, sometimes, because people come to me and they be having the whole setup, and I be like, well, to do your S-Corporation taxes, this is a separate tax, and it's going to cost you this amount of money. Oh, I don't. Yeah, you're a business.
But that's a mindset. That's
you're a business
why
owner.
You have to make money, and you
gonna
have to pay for the expenses.
You're going to pay me somewhere close to, we starting at $1,500, right? So just be, and then we got to do your personal taxes, and that's a charge. These are two separate taxes, right? So you got that, right? So it's just, it's a good thing. I'm not disputing it. I love them. I think at the same time that it's overhyped, it's underutilized because a lot of people, we don't know about it. We don't know the benefits of it. And then we try to do these structures based off what we see on the internet.
We don't transition well into it. It's
right?
hard for a lot of us to move out of the LLC into the S-Corp.
And you got to maintain them.
Yeah.
So you got to continue to pay. You got to continue to.
That means stability and growth in your business.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
That's income. I'm coming at you hot. Where is the money coming from? Are we making money? And where can we
can't be like, well, because I don't trust the banks and
right.
I don't want to put my money and I'm a
right.
No.
So I'm dealing with clients. We talking about scale, right? S-Corp client runs a dog grooming business, right? So we're like, hey, I'm looking at the numbers, and now we talking big. We putting the big boy, big girl pants on. And we talking numbers. I'm like, hey, we got to scale this income. Like half of your income is going to payroll. So now we have to be strategic about our payroll. Mm-hmm. Is it efficient for us to continue to hire part-time kids to do certain jobs? Or will it be more beneficial that we might pay a higher payroll for somebody who's like a specialist in the field that can take on more, where it reduces you from, you see what I'm saying? And so we can't get to those conversations
no, for sure.
without having income conversations that's driving that. Because if we making $500,000 and 250,000 is going to payroll, we talking about a company that's generating good money. It's
And
just a
that's pretty
structure standpoint or
That's
development.
That's pretty typical. You got to find a way to be more efficient and effective.
For
And
sure.
that's like the business owner's like thing that's on their mind. No matter how small or big your business
Yeah.
is, you every time you think, how can I lean? How can
Yeah.
I be more effective and more efficient?
That's
How can
becoming
I do
leaders.
more
Right.
with costing me less?
Costing me less.
So for sure.
So it's for sure,
Yeah.
Give and take. I seen
Yeah.
somebody post on their Instagram the other day, hey, these employers is tripping. They want us to do this, 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 and this, and we ain't getting raises. We ain't getting this and that. But, I'm a little biased, maybe because I'm a business owner. Because I ain't saying exploit the people for sure. But a lot of people who complain don't even be given value enough to understand how revenue is generated to give value enough to even
deserve a raise.
Right.
Help me earn more money.
Right.
You listen.
You just sitting
Get
there
on up out of here.
clocking my time.
That's right. Okay, Dave said move
Punching
on.
my clock. Right.
Dave said move on.
All right, so look.
Tax talk segment. Let's get the question in.
All right, y'all. Here we go. Our tax talk segment. Let me jump off that rant. So this is a scenario. This is a really good question. This was in our Facebook group. This was in our Facebook group. This is not necessary. It's a question, but it's a scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a scenario. Client married in 2021, separated in 2022, still remains married. So we're legally married, right?
So we legally married, but we're separated.
For sure.
Okay.
Not legally well, let me get to that part anyway.
We living in the same house or no?
We don't know all that.
All right.
All
Well,
that.
they
All right,
give us the details. Y'all living together or not? He on the second floor.
Or is he out the house?
What's going on?
Look, the way the smoke is in a scenario, they can't be living in the same place.
Okay.
So one of the spouses is not being cooperative on the divorce. They're trying to get a divorce. They're not being cooperative.
Okay.
So the question is, do they must file married filings separate, right? She said
because they are separate.
So do they must file married filings separate? And then it was like, what happens when they don't have the social security number of the spouse and the other party won't provide it because they're being difficult, but they need to file and hasn't filed taxes in the last 3 years because of the scenario with the marriage.
Okay, so let's run it back. So it's a
There's a good one, y'all.
It's a married couple,
right,
that has been separated for the past 3 years,
right,
and they haven't filed their taxes in the last 3 years,
right,
because during the separation, one of the spouses is being
difficult. You ain't leaving me,
and not wanting to give the social to
right.
file
married
the taxes.
Yep.
Okay, and so they're like,
so
hey,
should they file? So the real question is, what's the legal manner that they have to file? And then what you do in this scenario, because said spouse ain't trying to give up the social. So how I'm going to file my taxes, and I haven't filed in 3 years. So she's like, I got to file.
Okay, so for the wife, girl, why you don't know his social? You better go. Well, you should know your husband's social. You ain't my husband without knowing your social. But I digress. I'm going to put that in my...
in this scenario, they were married in 2021, separated in 2022.
Go back
so it sounds like it's really fast.
Find some ways where the social is and file the taxes.
What?
I don't need his social. We married.
I ain't in disagreement. I'm just trying to remember when I knew my wife's social by heart. Because I
got the documents. I know where it is.
It might have taken me a while.
So just slight marital advice. You should know your husband's birthday, social.
All that.
All of that.
Where they came from.
All of that.
The mama name.
All of it. All of it. But on the tax situation, I think if it gets really bad, then I would do single.
That's what I said. So I said...
I would say, all right, the hell with you. I'm going to find my own. For the past 3 years, we've been separated, and I just
will keep the documentation of the back and forth, right? So in the scenario, legally, guys, right, the scenario was a very good scenario, very good question. Legally, if I'm married, I'm supposed to file married filing joint.
Or
you file married filing separate if you want yourself to be separated, right? Legally. In this case, the spouse is given the runaround because, at least according to the way we file taxes in the tax form, you got to have the other person's social to file married filing separate.
Yeah.
They can't get it. So we're like, hey, you should just file single, file your taxes, and then keep documentation of the complication of the divorce.
Yeah.
That's because what I think worst case scenario is, let's just say the IRS come and they do get audited and they're mandated to file joint. Well, it still might benefit you anyway because you get a higher standard deduction.
Yep.
It's not like it's going to hurt you.
No, for sure.
If you got to go back and
For sure.
refile.
Right.
But for this scenario, you will file single.
I would file single. Like you said, keep the documentation and the hell with you. And if the IRS say we have to do it.
Now it's mandated.
And also, too, it'll be in the divorce decree, right?
Sure.
I would be like, judge, give me his social. I can't file the taxes. So she could do it that way, too. If they're going through a divorce, her attorney could contact his attorney.
So
you could do it that way and say, he needs to submit his social because we can't file our taxes.
But that was the other problem. So legally, if I'm married, one of the ways that I can file single or head of household is if we're divorced and we got the divorce decree, or if we're legally separated and you got like the documentation to show that we're
in the process.
But they're separated and it's not like a legal binding situation.
So they've been living in separate households for 3 years.
I mean, we could assume that. I don't know for sure the living situation.
So he has a different address. She has a different address. I would file single.
Right.
But
what I'm saying is, it's like if I
submit my paperwork. Look, I tried. Here goes some emails. We're going through a divorce, and now my soon-to-be ex-husband will not cooperate.
Yeah. Because I was like, so I'm like, legally, if they're separated, they could file single for sure. But the separation has to be like a legal,
for sure.
Like a judge somebody got to issue a legal separation for that to happen. If that don't happen, then you're supposed to file married, joint, or single.
Right.
But in this scenario that came about, we think it's best to just file.
Yes, nuances and everything. In this situation, I would suggest file single.
Yeah.
And have your supporting documentation showing that you've attempted to try email, text message to get the social, and I would file all 3 years and mind my business and go ahead on.
On the relationship side, I wonder which one being difficult. Because most women have got good memories, so she probably know it's probably the man that's like, you ain't going nowhere. He probably like, no, you ain't going, you ain't divorcing me at all.
I don't know. I feel like
if I can't have you, can't nobody have you.
Listen, I don't think the woman knows the social. I feel like she thinks so. The woman is trying to leave and the man is being difficult,
right?
Or you don't think
the woman trying to file. She probably don't remember. I'm just saying, I know women got better. Women, it's more inclined for women to know all these kind of dates and stuff more than men. Yeah, but I think the woman probably trying to file.
I'm gonna just be transparent. I do not know my husband's social, but I know where it is.
Right.
I have access to it.
Right.
So I don't know it by heart.
I know mine.
I only know mine.
My wife.
But I know how to get everybody's social is on my computer.
For sure.
But I don't know it by heart. So I would suggest y'all should have each other's stuff.
For sure.
For sure.
Anyway, that was a really good scenario, y'all. Really good question. If y'all got more questions, make sure you let us know. We will be answering them in our Tax Talk segment of every episode. And so make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. And like, share, subscribe again. Make sure y'all have good comments. And we'll see y'all in the next episode. Don't forget to keep minding your biz.
That's right.